Dr. Laura Jakubowski, and in this video, I am going to demonstrate how to do a TLC analysis on our extracted caffeine sample. So we are going to need the extracted sample, which should contain caffeine in the ethyl acetate. We're going to compare this to a known sample of caffeine. So we will need just a small amount of caffeine. We are also going to need some acetone, some hexane. We will use a combination of these for the TLC solvent, and the caffeine is going to be dissolved in the acetone. We are going to need a TLC plate, we're also going to need an empty 150 milliliter beaker to run the TLC in, a watch glass to keep that beaker covered, some capillary tubes to spot our sample on the TLC plate, a pencil and ruler to mark our TLC plate, a 10 milliliter graduated cylinder to mix our TLC solvent, and finally, a UV lamp, and by using which the fluorescent dye in the TLC plate will help us see where the sample spots have ended up. To start, I am going to dissolve the caffeine using some acetone. I'm going to just squirt from the acetone into this bottle and swirl a bit to dissolve the caffeine. I am going to prepare the TLC solvent now. I'm going to have a ratio of acetone to hexane, a 1:2 ratio. So I'm going to measure 2 milliliters of acetone first. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the beaker in which I will do the TLC. So I had 2 milliliters of acetone. To this, I am going to add 4 milliliters of hexane. So I will pour this in the beaker. I will swirl a bit to mix. Now to prepare our TLC plate with the sample. Once the TLC plate goes in, you want to be sure that the height of where you add the sample spots is not below the level of liquid that's there, meaning you want the sample spots to be above where the liquid level is. I'm going to use a ruler to draw a straight line with pencil. When marking a TLC plate, you must only use pencil. I'm going to pick a height which will be above where the solvent level is. Just estimate that. To be sure, if you want to use a ruler to measure that, you can. My sample height appears to be about 5 millimeters, so I will measure up about 6 or 7 millimeters. Now I will draw a line across the TLC plate. I'm going to use the capillary tube to take a small amount of my sample and spot it onto the TLC plate. I will simply dip the capillary tube into my extracted sample. And I'm going to spot it on the TLC plate. I'm touching the capillary tube to the same spot several times. Next, I'm going to label where that spot had been with a letter E for our extraction. One thing you want to be sure of is try not to directly touch the surface of the TLC plate in any way. If you have to handle it, try to touch at the edges of the TLC plate. Next, I'm going to take a clean capillary tube and spot it into the caffeine. So not all of the caffeine has dissolved into the acetone. but there should be enough of it dissolved in order to still see a spot by TLC analysis. I'm going to angle and try to take none of the solids, but just take a bit of the liquid at the top. Okay, now I am going to spot this on the other side of the TLC plate. And I'm going to label this with a letter C. It was known to be caffeine. Now, before running the TLC, it's necessary that all of the solvent has evaporated. You can do this by wafting it in the air or blowing on it. Or if your lab has air connection, you can turn that on and blow your TLC plate in that air stream. You can check if all the solvent has evaporated. If you hold it on the back of your arm, when it no longer feels cool, that means that the solvent which had been there has evaporated. Now it is time to run the TLC. Very carefully, I'm going to lower this down as evenly as possible into the solvent mixture. I will touch the bottom to the beaker and allow the top of the TLC plate to rest along the wall of the beaker. Now we wait for the solvent height to come up between 1/2 to 2/3 of the way up the TLC plate. You will be able to see the solvent moving up the plate. So now our solvent has moved up about halfway up the TLC plate. I'm going to get a paper towel to place it on once I remove it. And the moment I remove it, I'm going to have my pencil ready to mark the line of where the solvent front had ended up. We will need to evaporate the solvent before looking at the TLC plate with the UV lamp. So I can wave this or blow on it, or if you have an air connection in your lab, you can blow air on it that way as well. It still feels quite cool to the touch. There is still solvent there. Okay. Now I will use the UV lamp to see where the spots ended up. As you can see, a spot from our extraction is at the same height that is known to be caffeine. In our extraction, there is another spot there as well. So we did extract caffeine, but we can see from the TLC analysis that there is another compound there as well. We can move on to the next step in the purification.